I quit nursing, and here's why. Nurses lack respect. We're underpaid, we're overworked. Staff RNs have it the worst. I've been a nurse for over 12 years, and that time I've worked in the ER, I've worked in ICU, I've worked as a paramedic. The challenge remains the same. Doesn't matter where I choose to work. Year after year, we hear about strikes. The unions are supposed to come together with administration, and we're supposed to negotiate better pay and safer conditions. But it never seems to work. And I wondered, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Who has a different strategy? At what point do we decide that, okay, these strikes are not working? And I think I have a better idea. Stick around to the end of this video, and I'm gonna tell you what I think is the better solution. I got into nursing because I believe in service to others. My mother was also a nurse, so it wasn't a hard sell for me. Before my mother passed away in 2008, I was at her bedside. That's what got me into this profession, caring for people. Something so patently rewarding when you see someone go from gravely ill to walking and you played a part in that. It's very satisfying, and I'll do it for free. But hear me out. We've got bills. The economy is tanking. Inflation is at an all-time high. Other professional verticals like the tech space, the most intricate piece of their profession, software developers, they're very well paid. You hear things like equity compensation packages. But when you come to the nursing profession, it's completely opposite. And I recognize maybe it's because it's predominantly female. I don't know. But I've spent so much time in this profession trying to find a good space where I can hit good work-life balance, get a healthy compensation, healthy benefits, have time for my family, and give back to humanity. And it's been a struggle. Nurses remain underpaid, overworked, and we're burnt out. You're starting to see a lot of nurses leave the profession altogether. And how can you blame them? The nursing profession is predominantly women, and these women have to start families at some point. And for women to run a healthy home and have time for their husbands and for their children, as well as be productive at work, the conversation needs to come from important stakeholders like nurses and facility owners and administrators and policymakers. They have to have this conversation from a place of moving the profession forward and not this bureaucratic mess that it's been in for a long time. I'll give you an idea of what travel nursing used to look like, because as a staff RN, it's really difficult to make decent pay. You keep running to this wage cap where all the facilities in the area can't seem to offer a decent amount of pay that's competitive. Okay, so after 2 or 3 years into nursing, you get recruiters who offer you travel nursing contracts to go travel to different areas, where different parts of the country, and they sell it really nicely. And what's not to like when you get paid to travel? And a lot of these pay packages are really nice. The part that they don't tell you is that usually when they're sending you to a facility, 9 times out of 10, that facility that you're going to is run down. Things are disorganized, it's chaotic. I remember I picked up a travel contract in Riverside, California, and this was in a level 2 trauma facility. It was a shit show. I was assigned patients. They had patients in the hallway. I had a patient on an insulin drip, on a vasopressor, one that was fall risk, and all these patients all together, and I had to manage all of them at the same time while transporting patients from the ER to another floor. And I'm supposed to just hand off my patients to another nurse to watch. And some of these things were very unsafe. The staff RNs and the travel nurses were butting heads all the time, and there was all these cliquish behavior that was going on. And you're supposed to just turn a blind eye and just work, and you're constantly asked to work more hours, which I have no problem with, but the challenge is that it's unsustainable, and no nurse should be required to work like that. As a single man without a family, it was easy for me to pull off those travel contracts. But the older I've gotten and I have a family now, I can't really do that anymore. And I imagine there's a lot of nurses that are in that situation, and they have to balance taking care of a home while working their profession. Something's gonna give. So as nurses, we have to come together to make this profession better. We haven't reached a perfect place. There's this thing that happens in society where and I can see it across the board, where things seem like they've gotten to a place and they become stagnant, and people just fight change. We've done it this way for a long time, and it must be the right way to do it. No, if it was the right way to do it, it'd be efficient and people wouldn't complain about it. You wouldn't have nurses bail out of the profession. And so this video is a call to action. I'm calling on all nurses. Let's come together, let's leverage social media and form a community where we pitch a better strategy to solve the problem of nurses being burnt out and quitting the profession. I think nurses need to be empowered to become entrepreneurs and take back the profession. And the current status quo is the facility dictates your pay, they dictate the terms, and there's very little room for negotiation. I've been to a lot of interviews where it seemed like if I even tried to negotiate my pay, I run the risk of losing the opportunity altogether, and it shouldn't be that way. When I go online to look for a plumber or for a contractor, their profile is there, the reviews are there, and their pricing is there. And if I don't like that pricing, I go to the next person. It's very clear. Only in the nursing profession where it seems like I'm being told what I'm going to get paid and there's no negotiation there. That needs to change. The unions that are supposed to protect the nurses don't seem to be doing a good job about it. American Nurses Association is not doing a good job about it. So it's time for a new strategy. I'm seeing a lot of companies now starting to pop up with nursing entrepreneurship opportunities, whether it's IV hydration or with the recent new laws around home infusion therapy suppliers. Another idea that I'm going to be making a video about. Subscribe to the channel and leave your notification on so you know when I drop that video. Because it's time to empower the nurse to get away from being slaves for money. This current status quo, it forces you to go from job to job looking for better pay. And eventually you just get drained, because that's not the whole point. A lot of us got into the profession because we care about people and we want to spend more time taking care of people. But it's difficult to do that when you're fighting bureaucracy and you're fighting slave wage. You're fighting unsafe workplace and poor work-life balance. So if you're going through a similar situation, share this video and leave a comment on the comment section. Let me know what your experience. The current situation is counting on your silence. And in order for change to happen, we have to come together and speak truth and talk about the current situation. What is going on? How can we solve it? The beauty is that we have YouTube and we have social media so that we can share these experiences honestly. Earlier in my career, I chased money. And I've realized that money is not a metric for success. It's the wrong metric for success. It doesn't matter how much you accumulate, you eventually pay IRS and you eventually spend it on frivolous things and it goes away and you're back to work. So there's got to be a higher purpose for the work. And I think a good place to start is making our profession a better profession. Who's with me?